Okay, children, now everybody stay together. It will be a little dark at first, but your eyes will soon get used to it. Watch your step, said Miss Flora as she led her third grade class down the narrow steps into the Thurston lava tube. The class was here on a field trip at the Kilauea volcano. When they reached the bottom of the cave, they were greeted by two scientists who would explain to them what the caves were all about. The tube was cool, damp, and had many roots growing down from the ceiling that came from the trees above the ground. And on the floor of the cave, a shiny black sand that glittered. Class, may I have your attention, please? The children settled down. Thank you. Class, this is Dr. Kiakahiva. He's a volcanologist. And this is Mrs. Johnson. She knows all about the writings in these caves. Now, who can tell me what a volcanologist is? The children raised their hands eagerly, and a little boy answered, I think it's somebody who knows all about volcanoes. Very good, Stanley, said Miss Flora. Mrs. Johnson, I turn the class over to you. Thank you, Miss Flora. Hello, class. Today we're going to learn all about the ancient Hawaiian people who in some times used to live in caves just like this one. And because there was no television, video games, or the internet, can anyone here tell me exactly what you think they might have done for entertainment? Draw on the walls, shouted one little boy. Yeah, caveman graffiti, added another. That's right. And if you all bring your flashlights and brushes over here, I can show you what I mean. It was then Mrs. Johnson noticed a little girl sitting alone by herself in the corner. Little girl, little girl. Oh, I'm sorry, said Miss Flora. I forgot to tell you. This one no can hear or speak. But she can talk with her hands, said one of the children. That's why we call her Hula. Tapping the little girl on the shoulder to get her attention, Mrs. Johnson motioned to her, saying, You look over here. The little girl shook her head in disagreement, motioning to Mrs. Johnson as if saying to her, No, you look over here, and pointed to a pile of sand where she had been digging. What have we here? Said Mrs. Johnson, taking her brush and brushing away the sand. Oh, I've never seen this before. Dr. Kiakahiva, come look quickly. There are carvings here. Children, come, bring your brushes and help us clear away the sand. When the sand had been cleared away, they were amazed to find a beautifully carved mural. They had never seen wall carvings in any lava tube like this one. And after Mrs. Johnson studied them for a while, she said, This was not made by ancient Hawaiians. This is a whole other culture, a whole other race. It certainly looks Hawaiian, but it's not. In any case, Anna can read this. I don't think any living person can read this today. I can, came a voice from out of the darkness. They all turned to the entrance of the cave. Then from out of the shadows, an old woman stepped forward. That is to say, she looked old, but she did not move like an old woman. She walked over to the wall, bent down low, and touched it. It is the history of my family line that has been kept secret all this time until now. And you can read this? Asked Mrs. Johnson. Yes, I can, the old woman replied. It is the lost language of the MENEHUNI. Now I've heard enough, said Dr. Kiakahiva. There's no such thing as a MENEHUNI. It's just not scientific. The old woman's cold black eyes flashed, and the lights in the cave went out, even the flashlights. Now the cave glowed with an eerie light that seemed to come from the old woman. And captivated by this light, the children were not afraid. In fact, they came closer to the old woman to hear her story. And she began to read the story, chanting, chanting, chanting. kahuna Moko Kakatui, who seduced the beautiful Queen Pikaki of the human tribe as a golden merman while she swam in the blue lagoon and listened to his enchanting song. And when a child was born of this strange union with broad features and a silvery blue skin on his neck and shoulders, the king called his wise men to council, the kahunas, the makuas, his holy men. And they all told him that this was an evil omen, and the child should be sacrificed to the volcano goddess Madame Pele. When Madame Pele hears this, she is very pleased, and she cannot wait till the day of the sacrifice, the night of the full moon. So under the cover of darkness, Queen Pikaki takes the baby and escapes with her handmaiden Lokilani into the forbidden rainforest. There she pleads to the god Maui for mercy, but Maui sends her to the Menehuni, for only they can help her. When Pele hears of this from her spies, she is furious. She vows that if she does not get the baby on the night of the full moon as promised, she will send the lava flows to destroy them all. This is seen by Maui as malicious and evil, and he tells Pele that he will banish her for 100 years to an unknown destination if she does